And we're back. And we're going to look at Effys today. He's playing on version 1 in Valorant, and they are on their way to the Iceland LAN coming up very soon. So I wanted to cover a bunch of players that are going to Iceland, and I thought, on this channel, I'm covering a lot of match fixing or doing a lot of videos on match fixing. So I thought it made a lot of sense to do a demo where I kind of look at Effys and his gameplay. Because if you aren't aware, Effys was actually banned on ESEA in 2018 for match fixing, and I'll go over the details of that a little bit later, but he's found a lot of success in version 1. Version 1 actually, I don't know how long they've even been together as a team. Effys was originally on Gen G in Valorant, and then he switched over to version 1, and then it seemed like that team just clicked, and they wiped the floor with everybody except Sentinels in the qualifiers. Steel called it early. He said version 1 is going to make it to Iceland. And he was correct. They had a very good qualifier. He's playing with Vanity, Penny, Zelsis, and Whippy. But some news just came out that Whippy's not going to be able to make it to the Iceland LAN. And they're going to sub in, I think it was Jammies, is gonna go in his place. So huge bummer. The first Valorant LAN that comes up, that they qualify. They fight their way through this bracket of death, basically. Like, there was tons of killer teams in there that could have beaten version 1. They get all the way to the end, qualify, and then Whippy can't make it there. I think he had COVID complications or wasn't able to get access to testing. I'm not sure exactly what the problem was, but he wasn't able to make it. I actually like this smoke that Effys threw. It's like a very lurk type of smoke, and so he can take a funny off angle to look at underpass there, and then just before the smoke dissipates, he kind of runs back in and throws another one. But I was hoping that T would pick, but his teammate actually threw a molly to prevent that terrorist from peeking. So I'm like, oh, if they would have had maybe a touch more coordination, he could have told his teammate to hold off on that molly, But didn't work out. He was an absolute killer with this CZ too on the CT side. Like, he gets tons of CZ kills where he really shouldn't have gotten them. You can see they're kind of on a half by here, and then he brings the AK. So he brings the AK back to jungle, and you're going to see the terrorist you could just barely see him there. But I have a feeling Effys was playing 4x3, in which case you can't see that guy at all, right? So he would have been surprised by the peek from the T. So I'll go over the details of his match fixing ban that he caught at ESEA. It happened in season 28, and he was playing in MDL. Effys and Cardiac and Strong Legs got banned actually at the same time. So what ESEA says is that they suspected him of betting at the time because of how he was playing in specific games, but they never mentioned the specific games. And then they were contacted afterwards by GG.bet saying that they suspected he was betting on his own games. So then ESEA reviewed the evidence that they had from GG.bet and considered it enough to ban Effys and Cardiac. Strong Legs was actually caught in this ban because not so much that he was placing bets on the games, not so much that he was maybe in on match fixing, but more so because he was a commentator and he was not allowed to bet at all. You can see the comments. There's a comment from Asuna right there. Like, in ESEA, it's a small world, kind of. I feel like when I was playing ESEA anyways, you'd see these names pop up, or in pugs or whatever. It wouldn't be that uncommon to be like pugging with or talking with a semi-pro player, right? So yeah, there's EEIU. He's playing Pro Valorant now too. There's plenty of guys that commented on it. Actually, Tex had a comment in there too if you were reading them as they went by. But yeah, Effys, he took the ban. It was a year long, and I actually personally don't even have that strong of opinion on how long a ban should be for match fixing. I feel like if it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, I'd probably be mostly okay with that. Like, 3 months is a bit short, I guess, but I really don't have a strong opinion on it. I just want guys to get caught, right? And that's the same with match fixing or cheating or anything that they're doing or somebody's doing that they shouldn't be. I just want guys to get caught. I don't want them to be able to fly under the radar, or like that new coach or the assistant coach that T1 picked up. The dude cheated in PUBG, got caught, and then legally changed his name. So he's got a different name than he used to have, just so he could try and avoid the community being able to kind of track down who he was. I don't want any of that shit. I just want people, when they do something wrong, to get caught. And in Effy's case, he got caught, and to be honest, he was a man about it too. He didn't bitch and moan on Twitter. He had one tweet where he just said that he was unlucky, that he got caught, and that was it, basically, from what I could see anyways. He takes a really weird peek here out connector. Like, his teammate just died to that guy. Catwalk. So I did grab this demo because this is the team that he was playing for when he caught that ban. And going through the demo, it really didn't seem like there's no obvious match fixing here. And I checked the other match pages for the games that he played, and it didn't seem like, usually the HLTV commentators or the people commenting on the match pages will say if they think it's a throw, and none of them seem to think it was. So I don't know which game he actually threw. These CZ kills he's getting, by the way, are nuts. Like, he headshots the second guy that peeks him that tries to trade him out too. Like, he was nuts with the CZ all map. He got plenty of kills he shouldn't have gotten at all. So yeah, I watched this demo because I thought, okay, maybe there's some match fixing type stuff in here, some weird plays, but really there was nothing super conclusive. I think a lot of the players that I've covered so far are honestly like unicorn cases. Like, I feel like they're just really bad at match fixing. Apparently there's more than 20 guys that were match fixing, and I've had lots of names thrown my way, and I've checked lots of demos, but very few people are as obvious as the guys that I've already covered. At least that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting right now. I've had a lot of names thrown my way just from kind of doing this type of video. Like, people have been messaging me and giving me information. But I've gone through a lot of demos and I'm like, you know what? It's not that obvious, or like, you'd really have to stretch it to think that looks like match fixing. I'm not saying, you know, there's totally the possibility that the match was fixed, but if the player is able to play the match and it looks normal enough, there's no point in me covering it, right? Because then we're just totally playing hypotheticals and stuff like that. There's the possibility that maybe I'll get more into kind of watching odds shift or something like that, but honestly, like, I like the fact that my core content is kind of like CSGO footage related. I don't really want to start switching to, you know, analyzing the odds of games that are bet on and stuff like that. Effys with this super weird push here, by the way. Like, what is going on? I can't believe he got that far out. Like, his teammate gets opt, so he chases after the op. The op isn't really covering that angle, and like, he just ends up behind two CTs. Like, what the fuck? It's a pretty funny round. With players like Effys, you know, guys that kind of had a somewhat recent match fixing ban, I really honestly have no issue with them coming into Valorant. You know, they weren't trying to hide anything when they entered the scene. Everybody knew what happened, and, you know, he served his ban in ESEA, and then he came back after a year and he's still playing. I have absolutely no issue with that. You know, a lot of these players are young. Well, that lineup was rough. But I was going to say, a lot of these players are young and they make mistakes, and that's totally fine in my opinion. The question is now, how is Riot going to react when this ESEA report comes out and say there's 10 Valorant pros on it or 15 Valorant pros? Are they going to respect the ESEA investigation and say that it was well done and they concur with all the evidence that's collected, or are they going to do their own investigation? You know, like, the problem with Riot is that they don't have the partnerships with the betting websites like ESEA does. I actually thought this round kind of looked like a through. You know, there's only one CT alive and he had like 15 health, and they couldn't close out the round. So I grabbed the point of view from a couple other players to see, like, did it look weird or whatever, you know? But actually all the gunfights kind of looked normal enough from what I could tell. So I grabbed his teammates to see what it looked through their eyes. But yeah, I mean, he just missed the spray here, but then like E-mode here just whiffs. It looks like he was trying to aim at the CT, but he just totally whiffed, right? But like I was saying, a Riot doesn't have the partnerships with the betting websites, so it's basically impossible for them to get that level of evidence that ESEA is able to get. And that's why I think Riot really is going to be in a position where they need to rely on the evidence and the investigation from ESEA in order to apply the proper player bans. Because there's going to be guys that get through this, and, you know, I'm sure some players match fixed like 20, 30, 40 times, right? And there's going to be other players that maybe match fixed 4 or 5 times. So there's going to be different lengths of bans that come through this. In my opinion, I think that's what's going to happen. So Riot's really going to need to rely on that evidence from ESEA in order to apply the appropriate repercussions to each player, right? Like, they really should, you know, take it a case-by-case basis. It shouldn't just be a blanket 1-year ban for one guy that match fixed 50 times or one guy that match fixed once, in my opinion. I think it needs to be done in a case-by-case basis. And judging by ESEA's history, like with the coach spectating bug, they did take it on a case-by-case basis. So people that were guilty of exploiting that bug several times got a more severe ban than somebody that exploited that bug maybe just once. So I suspect that the same thing will happen with the match fixing issue as well. So anyways, looking forward to that ESEA report for sure. If you enjoyed this video, guys, leave a thumbs up. If you didn't, leave a thumbs down. And I'll catch you on the next one, all right? Peace.